Malcolm-Jamal Warner, best known and beloved for his groundbreaking role.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the name that once lit up living rooms across America, was suddenly gone, and Hollywood froze in disbelief. On July 20th, 2025, headlines broke. Warner, forever remembered as Theo Huxtable, the beloved son on The Cosby Show, had died in a tragic drowning accident while in Costa Rica. But the heartbreak didn't end there. What followed shook the world even more. Shortly after his funeral, a hidden archive Warner had guarded for years was unlocked. What it revealed left family, friends, and fans stunned. Inside were priceless treasures from his life, never-before-seen family photos, raw handwritten letters filled with emotion, and tokens from his legendary career that had never been shared publicly. Yet tucked between these keepsakes were cryptic clues, hinting at a life far deeper and more complex than the polished image Hollywood had presented. And the most shocking revelation? It's waiting for you at the very end of this story. From the streets of Jersey City to the heights of becoming America's favorite TV son, Warner's archive unveiled the journey of not just a star, but of a man in pursuit of truth and meaning at every step. Among the heartfelt family portraits and nostalgic stage memorabilia lay the earliest, fragments of his extraordinary path, his childhood, his roots, his rise.
So even before my wife.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner's story began on August 18, 1970, in Jersey City, New Jersey, a time when America itself was being shaken by cultural revolutions and social unrest. Even his name carried weight and legacy. Malcolm, honoring Malcolm X, the fearless civil rights leader, and Jamal, inspired by Ahmad Jamal, the world-renowned jazz pianist. From the moment he entered this world, destiny was already whispering his name. His mother, Pamela Warner, carried big dreams on her shoulders and placed them squarely on her son. She wanted him to be strong yet tender, disciplined yet artistic. And Malcolm didn't disappoint. Raised in a modest home, his childhood wasn't wrapped in luxury. After his parents split, Pamela became both his backbone and his first manager. She recognized his spark early. By the time Malcolm was just 7 or 8, he was already standing in front of the mirror, acting out TV characters word for word and perfecting the smallest gestures. Pamela wasted no time. She signed him up for acting classes and later enrolled him in the Professional Children's School in New York, a training ground for young talents, destined for the spotlight. By 1979, when most kids his age were worried about homework, Malcolm was already landing gigs. At just 9 years old, he appeared in children's theater productions and national commercials. He quickly mastered the camera, his eyes, his expressions, even the cadence of his voice, skills that would soon become his secret weapons. When Hollywood came calling, then came 1984, the year that changed everything. NBC was searching for fresh faces to star in a brand new sitcom, The Cosby Show. The role, Theo Huxtable, the smart, lovable, sometimes awkward eldest son. Over 200 teenagers from across the country auditioned. But 13-year-old Malcolm stole the spotlight and beat them all. That victory didn't just transform his life, it etched his face into American pop culture forever. From its very first season, The Cosby Show exploded into a phenomenon. Topping the Nielsen charts, Malcolm was instantly crowned America's favorite TV son. By 1986, still just 16, he earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, a staggering honor for someone balancing schoolwork with a grueling 39-week filming schedule. The pressure was intense, but instead of breaking him, it fueled another passion he carried deep inside: music. Music became Malcolm's second language. He picked up the bass and fell in love with the sounds of jazz, funk, and R&B. Friends recalled that whenever he wasn't under studio lights, he could be found sneaking into dimly lit New York jazz clubs, watching, listening, and quietly soaking up wisdom from seasoned musicians who had no idea they were shaping the next generation. His teenage years were a whirlwind, ordinary Jersey life by day, Hollywood fame by night. But through it all, Pamela's voice echoed in his head. Don't let the spotlight blind you. Remember who you are and where you come from. That grounding saved him from the same traps that destroyed so many other child stars. Inside Warner's newly uncovered archive were treasures from those defining years. snapshots of a boy chasing dreams, while still holding tight to his roots.
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip hop because it's low-lying fruit. It's so easy. Everybody does it to the point that it's corny. Like there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing and
as much as
every 2 sentences because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist
that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
There was a photo of young Malcolm, clutching a bass guitar that looked almost bigger than him, a fragile ticket stub from an Ahmad Jamal concert in 1982, where his mom proudly took him, and even a hurriedly scribbled note from Pamela before that career-changing audition in 1984. No matter the outcome, you've already made me proud. From a kid born in Jersey City in 1970 to stepping into the Huxtable living room, Malcolm-Jamal Warner became part of millions of childhoods across America. Those early years didn't just prepare him for fame, they explained why. When his archive was finally unlocked, it moved people around the world to tears. This wasn't just nostalgia. It was a reminder of how much he had given to culture. That foundation launched him into a career most teenage actors could only dream of. In 1984, Malcolm didn't just land a role, he walked straight into television history. The Cosby Show ran from September 20th, 1984 until April 30th, 1992, 8 seasons, under 97 episodes, nearly always dominating the Nielsen ratings. Viewers literally watched him grow up before their eyes, from the boy rocking oversized, colorful sweaters to the young man heading off to college. But by the final episodes, Warner was living in a strange paradox. 8 straight years as Theo Huxtable had given him everything, and yet almost trapped him at the same time. The role brought him household fame, steady paychecks, and even that coveted 1986 Emmy nomination. But it also carried a risk. If he wasn't careful, he could be locked in forever as nothing more than America's eldest son. And Warner wasn't about to let that happen. Even while The Cosby Show was still on the air, he was plotting his next moves. He directed multiple episodes, flexing his skills behind the camera, hosted teen-centered specials, and searched for projects that looked nothing like a family sitcom. So when the curtain finally fell in 1992, he didn't sit back and bask in past glory. He hit reset and started building a brand new identity. By 1996, Warner roared back with his own sitcom on UPN, Malcolm and Eddie, co-starring the high-energy Eddie Griffin. The show ran for 4 seasons, from 1996 to 2000, proving Warner wasn't just a sitcom relic. He had sharp comedic timing, natural charisma, and undeniable chemistry that lit up the screen. Behind the scenes, he directed episodes, too, sharpening his eye for pacing, rhythm, and everyday humor. But Warner wasn't content staying in one lane. As the 2000s rolled in, he pivoted into serious territory, from the sci-fi drama Jeremiah, 2002-2004, to the layered family series Read Between the Lines, 2011, and later Major Crimes, 2015, Warner stepped further and further out of Theo's shadow, proving just how versatile he truly was. And through it all, he never abandoned his first love, music. Since childhood, it was his escape, his fire, his heartbeat.
I met my wife through a mutual friend. I've never second-guessed it. We've been together almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to me.
In 10 years?
I was like, if I'm going to have a kid, this is the person that I would want to have it with. I talk about them because there are obviously the hugest parts of my life, the best parts of my life, the best decisions I've ever made.
With his band Miles Long, Warner picked up the bass, released jazz and spoken word albums, and took the stage at countless shows. Acting may have made him famous, but music revealed his soul. In 2015, Malcolm-Jamal Warner silenced every doubter when he stood on stage with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway, taking home a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B. Performance with their powerful track Jesus Children. That moment proved he wasn't just an actor dabbling in music. He was a true musician. respected and honored by the industry itself. But Warner's story didn't stall there. It only grew bigger. By 2018, he had fully reinvented himself for a new audience, stepping into the role of Dr. A.J. Austin on Fox's hit medical drama The Resident. His character, brilliant, blunt, sometimes downright prickly, was nothing like Theo Huxtable. With every sharp line and commanding scene, Warner showed the world he had escaped the box of his past and carved out a fresh identity that spoke to a whole new generation. And he didn't stop at acting or music. Warner flexed his talents as a producer, director, and even stepped into the digital age with his own podcast, Not All Hood. By 2024, the podcast had become his personal platform, an unfiltered space, where he broke down culture, society, and art with honesty and depth. Fans now cling to his final episode, uploaded to Instagram on July 18, 2025, just 2 days before his tragic passing. What was once another project in his portfolio has become a living memorial, with comments flooding in from around the globe. Looking back at his legacy, the numbers alone speak volumes. Over 40 years in entertainment, more than 30 film and television credits, dozens of episodes directed, multiple spoken word and jazz albums, a Grammy win, and a career that crossed boundaries most actors never touch. Warner wasn't just America's eldest son anymore. He was an artist who preserved his integrity, constantly reinvented himself, and never lost respect for the audience that grew up with him. Even his secret archive revealed this side of him. Behind the scenes, snapshots from Malcolm and Eddie, old film contracts, and even the Grammy ticket from 2015. Together, these mementos tell the story of a career that was dazzling, unpredictable, and full of battles he faced head-on. Warner left behind more than memories. He left a blueprint of resilience and creativity that can't be erased. The archive didn't just reveal keepsakes. It exposed the empire Malcolm quietly built. After more than 4 decades dedicated to the arts, Warner had stacked up a fortune that surprised even longtime fans. By 2025, his net worth was estimated at around $6 million. That's no small feat for someone who started as a teenage actor yet managed to keep his career thriving for decades without fading away. Much of that wealth came from his television success. At the height of The Cosby Show, Warner's paycheck grew season after season as the sitcom dominated Nielsen ratings across its 197 episodes. From 1984 to 1992, the show became one of the most profitable of its time. That steady income gave him the financial muscle to chase personal projects and take bold risks far beyond the Huxtable living room. After The Cosby Show, Warner didn't miss a beat. He kept landing high-paying roles on shows like Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, and later The Resident. And the money didn't stop when the cameras did. Royalties from reruns and streaming deals padded his bank account year after year. Music added another lucrative layer to his empire. Albums with his band, miles long, packed venues, and collaborations with heavyweights like Robert Glasper and Layla Hathaway kept the checks rolling in. Winning that Grammy in 2015 didn't just cement his credibility. It boosted the value of every single performance contract afterward. And then there were the receipts. The archive held faded contracts, old studio pay stubs, and even property ownership papers. Warner owned a home in Los Angeles and a quiet apartment on the East Coast, private sanctuaries, where he could recharge and create in peace. But the story didn't end with personal comfort. Sources whispered about his quiet investments in independent films and community arts programs, proof that Warner was planting seeds meant to outlive him. He wasn't just earning, he was building. His fortune wasn't just about wealth. It was about strategy, discipline, and a commitment to leaving a legacy that reached far beyond the screen. What shocked people most wasn't the money itself, but the way Warner handled it. Despite having millions in the bank, he never lived loud. No rows of flashy cars in his driveway. No sprawling mansions splashed across magazine covers. Instead, he chose modest homes, simple routines, and a laser focus on family and craft. When fans saw the financial documents inside the archive, many were floored by his restraint. In a world where so many child stars crashed and burned, Warner showed rare discipline and control, but buried in those same papers was something far more personal and far more guarded. Hidden between contracts, property deeds, and royalty Statements was the outline of a life he had deliberately kept from the spotlight. A secret wife, a child, a private world Malcolm fought to protect from Hollywood's glare. Pieced together, these discoveries painted an entirely new picture of the man fans thought they knew. Inside the archive, alongside yellowed film contracts, scribbled music notes, and behind the scenes, snapshots ran one undeniable truth: Malcolm-Jamal Warner had spent his life mastering the balance between public performance and private reality. He gave the world only what it needed to keep his career alive for over 4 decades, while fiercely guarding the rest: his family, his emotions, and the exhaustion he endured under constant pressure. These weren't scandals for scandal's sake. They were values. Choices born out of love and protection. Warner refused to let the Hollywood spotlight twist his reality. At the center of that silence was a revelation no one saw coming: a secret marriage. In 2015, through a mutual friend, Warner met a Connecticut lawyer. No Hollywood setup, no celebrity calculation, just two people who began as friends and slowly fell into something deeper. In one rare, unguarded moment on his podcast, Hot and Bothered, Warner admitted, "I laid it all out, told her everything." Eventually, he asked her the question, "What do you think about getting married?" Her answer erased every doubt. He had found the one. By 2016 or 2017, the two quietly exchanged vows. No media circus, no glossy magazine spreads, not even a trace on social media. This wasn't secrecy for drama, it was sacred. A promise to keep his family untouched by the glare of Hollywood. A year later, in July 2017, his life changed forever. Their daughter was born. On July 2nd, Warner broke his silence just once, posting a simple black and white photo of himself, cradling his newborn with the caption, "Peaceful time with family takes on a whole new meaning." It was one of the only glimpses the public ever had into his private world, a moment stripped of fame, yet overflowing with meaning. From that day forward, he kept family talk to a whisper. A casual mention of weekends at home, a quiet note about teaching his daughter through example, a warm dinner here and there, but never a name, never a face. For someone who had been under the camera's gaze since 1984, when he first stepped into Theo Huxtable's shoes at just 13, that deliberate silence was his ultimate act of protection. But before he found that peace, Warner's love life had once played out in the spotlight. His most famous romance was with Michelle Thomas, his Cosby Show co-star who played Justine Phillips. They dated from 1988 into the early 1990s. Though the romance ended, their bond didn't. They stayed close, their friendship becoming one of the most enduring and tender threads in Malcolm's story. When Michelle Thomas tragically passed from stomach cancer in 1998, Malcolm never left her side. He was there until her very last breath. That loss left a scar he carried for years. In 2015, he shared a haunting tribute on Instagram. "If there was ever an angel who walked amongst us mere mortals, this woman was it." Those weren't just nostalgic words. They revealed the depth of love and respect he held long after she was gone. After Michelle, his longest relationship was with Cosby Show co-star Karen Melina White. From 2000 to 2007, the two were inseparable. Marriage rumors swirled constantly, but Karen shut them down, calling it simply a long, solid relationship without paperwork or fanfare. Still, 7 years together marked a significant chapter in Warner's life. Then came what many thought would be the fairy tale ending. In 2011, Warner began dating Oscar-winning actress Regina King, a woman he had known since the 1980s. Their chemistry was undeniable, and for a time they were seen as one of Hollywood's golden couples. But shock struck on Valentine's Day 2013 when the relationship abruptly collapsed. Regina admitted she was completely blindsided. When Warner later sent flowers with a note that read, "I still love you," Regina didn't hesitate. She tossed them straight into the trash. And Warner? He stayed silent. No explanations, no public sparring. That silence may have looked cold to outsiders, but in hindsight, it fit his pattern, ending relationships with respect, never feeding the tabloids, and never turning love into spectacle. But behind closed doors, love wasn't his only battle. Professionally, Warner was wrestling with something heavier. He once confessed there was a time he hated playing Theo, not because of the scripts, but because of the fear of being typecast forever. The Cosby Show, with its 197 episodes, from 1984 to 1992, made him America's Big Brother. But it also cast a giant shadow over his future. His solution? Reinvention. He directed episodes of Cosby, starred in Malcolm and Eddie, from 1996 to 2000, and later broke expectations with dramatic roles in Read Between the Lines, Major Crimes, and especially as Dr. A.J. Austin. By 2018, Warner had found fresh success on The Resident, proving he could still captivate audiences decades after Theo Huxtable. Then came a shockwave from the outside. When the Bill Cosby scandal exploded, the once wholesome image of the Huxtable family crumbled. Warner had nothing to do with it, yet the fallout cast a shadow over him too. It's heartbreaking to see something once so pure in people's hearts become tarnished, he admitted. Instead of lashing out or loudly defending himself, he chose silence, focusing on his craft and letting his art speak louder than words. Music, his lifelong parallel passion, became both an outlet and a shield. With his bass guitar, he formed his band Miles Long, released albums, and toured stages across the country. In 2015, he joined Robert Glasper and Layla Hathaway to win a Grammy for Jesus Children, a career-defining moment that proved he wasn't just a TV star dabbling in music, but a true artist respected by his peers. Under the crushing pressure of fame and scrutiny, Warner built his own defense system. First, he controlled his story. Interviews focused strictly on his craft, never on the messy details of his private life. When he did mention his wife and daughter, it was only in the simplest terms. My wife, my daughter, anchored in values, never headlines. Second, he set boundaries. Even during The Resident's hectic production, weekends were strictly family time. Hollywood parties and unnecessary appearances, off the table. And third, he seized control of his voice. In 2024, he launched his podcast, Not All Hood, finally speaking on culture, society, and art in his own raw, unfiltered way, free from media spin. But then came the twist no one was ready for. On July 18, 2025, he posted a new podcast episode on Instagram. 2 days later, July 20th, tragedy struck. Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned at Pauco Beach in Costa Rica. He was just 54 years old, gone far too soon. What was supposed to be a peaceful family vacation turned to horror. While enjoying the water with his daughter, a deadly rip current swept through. His little girl was saved in time. Warner wasn't. But Warner was pulled further and further out, swallowed by the sea before help could reach him. His death came sudden and cruel, leaving fans in shock and those closest to him shattered. When the curtain of privacy finally fell, the world began to understand. Malcolm's secrecy was never about mystery. It was about protection. He shielded his family from the circus of fame. He honored his past loves with respect, and he carved out sacred spaces where he could breathe in an industry that often suffocates its stars. That's why the treasures found in his secret archive cut so deeply. Personal letters to his wife, tender family photographs, and notes scribbled with reminders like, "Protect what matters most," and "Don't let the spotlight blind you." These weren't just keepsakes. They were a blueprint for how he lived, loving fiercely, guarding faithfully, and always choosing quiet over chaos. Then came the devastating morning of July 20th, 2025. The official report from Costa Rica's National Police confirmed the details. Warner had been vacationing with his wife and daughter in the country's Caribbean region. That day, the family visited Playa Cocos, a beach known for its beauty, but infamous for its deadly rip currents. Witnesses recalled the weather looking picture-perfect. Clear skies, calm waves, nothing to hint at the danger lurking below. Warner waded into the water with his daughter, staying close to shore, when suddenly the rip current pulled them both out. Locals and lifeguards rushed in. His daughter was rescued in time, but Warner was dragged farther and farther into open water, disappearing before the crowd's eyes. By the time rescuers pulled him back to shore, his heart had already stopped. Medical teams fought desperately, performing CPR on the beach and again on the way to the hospital, but nothing worked. The coroner's report later confirmed the cause: drowning due to asphyxiation. No strange injuries, no signs of foul play, just water, silence, and finality. A family source later revealed that Warner passed quickly, without suffering, a small comfort in an unbearable loss. Still, even with clear statements from Costa Rican officials, disbelief lingered. Fans couldn't accept it. How could Malcolm, once a young athlete, disciplined in his lifestyle, a man who had always stayed fit, lose to a current so swiftly? Some wondered if he had an undiagnosed health condition that left him vulnerable. Others went darker, tying his sudden death to the uncanny timing of his archive being revealed. Was it coincidence, or had Warner been protecting something bigger than anyone realized? Speculation spread quickly, turning tragedy into suspicion. But his family and closest friends shut down those rumors firmly. His mother, Pamela Warner, released a sharp statement, calling the theories baseless and cruel. "My son passed away in an unexpected accident," she said. "There is no mystery beyond the grief of those left behind." And yet unease still lingered. 3 details circled endlessly in the minds of fans: the shocking swiftness of his death, the sudden unlocking of his archive, and the way Warner had always lived: quiet, guarded, fiercely private. Together they didn't form a crime scene, but they created something haunting. Not a mystery of evidence, but a mystery of feeling. A story that left the world unsettled, asking questions that may never be answered. How could a man so full of life, with fresh projects on the horizon, vanish within minutes beneath the waves? That question hung heavy as his family laid him to rest. A private funeral was held in the U.S. just a week later. Quiet, closed off, attended only by relatives and a few close friends. No press, no flashing cameras, no glossy photos for the magazines. Just silence, tears, and the crushing weight of loss. Every tribute that day painted the same picture. Malcolm was remembered as a man of warmth, a devoted family figure, and a professional who never stopped moving forward, no matter how heavy the industry's demands. Meanwhile, his social media pages turned into digital shrines. Hundreds of thousands of fans left final messages, flooding his timelines with memories and grief, turning his feed into a wall of goodbyes. But just as the mourning seemed to settle, the archive resurfaced, and it brought a storm. Inside were family letters, unreleased photos, and personal notes so raw they cracked open a private world he had guarded fiercely. These revelations didn't just tug at heartstrings. They fueled an explosion of conspiracy theories. Almost overnight, grief morphed into speculation. The fact that his secret archive was opened right after the funeral only added fuel for restless minds. YouTube channels, Reddit threads, and pop culture podcasts ran wild, spinning theory after theory. Some claimed the archive held explosive secrets about the Cosby Show, tied to the years before and after Bill Cosby's scandal. They latched onto Warner's past comments about how heartbroken he was watching the Huxtable image crumble, suggesting he may have hidden accounts that could shake Hollywood. Another wave of theories zeroed in on his private life. Because Warner's marriage was kept off the radar, and his wife and child, his identities were never revealed, fans speculated the archive contained family photos, secret letters, or shocking truths that could change how the public saw him. Some tabloids ran with the idea, publishing grainy leaked photos and blurry scans of supposed documents. But when investigators traced the sources, nothing credible surfaced. It was all smoke, no fire. Then came the wildest claims, straight out of a Hollywood thriller. Some swore Warner had been preparing a memoir or documentary that would expose the darker side of the entertainment industry. His death, they argued, was just too coincidental. Fans pointed to his podcast, Not All Hood, launched in 2024, where he hinted in recent episodes that he had untold stories ready to share. Was it bad timing, or was he silenced before he could speak? But here's where those theories collapsed. 2 key facts crushed most of the speculation. First, the official coroner's report from Costa Rica was crystal clear. Warner drowned from asphyxiation. No bruises, no toxins, no foul play, just a tragic accident. Second, his family, especially his mother Pamela, shut down the rumors repeatedly, calling them painful distractions and stressing. There is no hidden truth about the cause of his death. Even top outlets, People, AP News, Variety, confirmed the archive's real contents, family photos, handwritten notes, music sheets, contracts, and behind-the-scenes snapshots from his best-known roles. No bombshells, no scandals, just memories. But in today's world, speculation spreads faster than facts. And while reports tried to set the record straight, corrections never stuck the way wild theories did. For many who grew up with The Cosby Show, Warner wasn't just an actor, he was woven into their childhood. When someone so deeply tied to memory dies suddenly, it's easier to cling to conspiracies than face the truth of finality. In the end, the real mystery of Malcolm-Jamal, Warner wasn't locked in the archive or hidden in Hollywood's secrets. It was in the way he chose to live, quietly, independently, fiercely protecting the people and values that mattered most. He left this world the same way he moved through it, without spectacle, without noise, just a man who gave his craft everything while keeping his true treasures shielded from the spotlight. Warner's legacy stretches far beyond Theo Huxtable. It's bigger than the Emmy nods, bigger than the Grammy win, bigger than the headlines. What he left us with was a life message: love deeply, live kindly, and protect what matters most, no matter the cost. From the dazzling stage lights that first introduced him to the world, to the private moments no camera ever caught, Malcolm proved that the most valuable things in life aren't the ones we put on display, they're the ones we fight to keep safe. Yes, his story may feel unfinished, full of questions we may never answer, but maybe that's the point. Maybe his greatest lesson is that not everything needs to be explained, dissected, or exposed. Sometimes, silence says more than noise ever could. If you want to keep uncovering the real-life stories and hidden truths of the stars you love, hit like, drop a comment, subscribe, and share this video, because the next story waiting for you might shock you even more. See you in the next one.